The Oklahoma Sooners defense manhandled Jackson Arnold and the Auburn Tigers. What does it mean for the rest of the season? It means they're going to cook all season long.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel for Oklahoma and more college football coverage over there. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire and USA Today Sports. On today's show, we're going to talk about where Oklahoma landed in the new USLBM coaches poll and the AP Top 25. We're also going to talk about the offense, the run game struggles, what we're seeing from that group to give us hope and optimism for the rest of the season. But Jay, let's continue to start with the defense, because that was the story of Saturday. They were absolutely wrecking shop.
Yeah, the defense did everything that we wanted and more. Getting calculated out 9 sacks in this game, since we don't get 10 for the uninitiated. The reason why everyone's taking that last sack off of the sheet is the Marvin Jones Jr. sack that was called a horse collar was tallied on everybody's marker. And because of that, since that was considered a penalty, they had to pull that one off. They also did not count Stone's second sack when he hit. I'd say Jackson Arnold was tackled at about a half a yard loss. He didn't get credit for that. They counted it as a run play. So we are down to 9 instead of closer to the 11 that we anticipated. But I digress. The defense was balling out. They were doing what they needed to do to get pressure with just 4, which I thought was pretty impressive. If they started to find and wear the team down and realize spots and places to go ahead and get get pressure on the quarterback, something that we really didn't do a lot of over the years, especially when you were dealing with a lot of max protect. I think that what jumped out to me most too, John, was, I'm not sure if you realize this. So on the last 2 plays of the game, first the Gracen Halton sack, and in that one, Gracen was on the opposite side. He was closer to the left tackle. And as he saw the development, he swimmed off, broke away from them, and went around. And as soon as Jackson turned the corner from his offensive lineman, not seeing Gracen whatsoever, boom, he hit him. Then the last play, I think the last play was probably my favorite one, and some of the players confirmed it. If you look, nobody rushed the quarterback but our Mason Thomas.
Yeah.
Most people, I looked at that, I was like, there's no way. There's no way that happened. So I went back and looked, I'm like, oh no, it did. And so when that running back chipped him, makes it even funnier. The running back chipped him right back into the right tackle, which gave him even more leverage. And then he got the safety. But watching basically Jaden Jackson and Gracen Halton them just kind of just do this right in front of the linemen, waiting for them to try to come after him. They're just like, the linemen are like, wait, what is he doing? Like, what are they doing? And R. Mason called his shot. Went straight in, closed the game. Got to keep calling him a closer moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, the law firm, the closer, however you want to call it. I mean, the dude was absolutely lights out when he got into the game in the second half. He had 2 sacks, 3 total pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. Imagine what Oklahoma's defense would have looked like if they had him for the entire game.
Ooh.
Because you played well in the first half, but Brent Venables, I felt like he needed to blitz a whole lot more in the first half to generate pressure, to get Jackson Arnold uncomfortable. Well, if you have R. Mason Thomas out there, maybe you don't have to blitz as much. I mean, they blitzed Jackson Arnold 51% of his dropbacks on Saturday.
I wonder how much was in the first half.
I wish Pro Football Focus broke that down, but they don't. But it seemed like, just from watching the game, more of those blitz packages came in the first half. They were definitely showing a lot of zero blitz looks in the first half, sometimes dropping some guys out of that, sometimes sending everybody. And that's when we got the YOLO Cam Coleman on Cortland Guillory balls, hey, Cam's down there somewhere. I'm going to throw it and hope that he makes a play while I take this shot. But I mean, they were getting after him, and they were able to get pressure with 4. And I felt like sometimes more consistently were they able to get pressure with just 4. And what I thought they did a great job of as well was being aware of Jackson Arnold's running ability. And when he was trying to step up into the pocket, like you mentioned with the Gracen Halton loop to the left on that second to last play, they did that a lot. I mean, they came off their blocks a lot, and they looped back to Jackson Arnold's running lane. And I thought that was really well planned and well executed. It was a great defensive game plan to where, they weren't always quote unquote spying Jackson Arnold or using a linebacker to spy him, but they were spying him as a defensive front. And that to me was really well executed. And it just seemed like they had a great understanding of the ways that Jackson Arnold could beat them. Now, he got loose on that 4th and 11 late in the game, where I think it was just after the Gentry Williams defensive pass interference phantom that didn't call. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to see it, does it fall or does it make a sound? Yeah, same with this pass interference. If pass interference happens and the referee doesn't see it, was it pass interference? But that was like the only time that I felt like he really got away. I think there was one time early in the first half where he kind of scampered down the sideline, but it wasn't like a clean escape. He had to make a lot happen to make that. So the defensive front, man, just played an excellent game.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing too out of this is, Oklahoma's goal in this game was saying, if Jackson's going to beat us, he's going to beat us by throwing the ball. He made him throw the ball. He threw the ball 34 times in this game, which I think is the most in his so far, actually in his career. Now that I think about it, let me see. I believe that he threw 32 times in this game, and I think that this is the most that he's thrown so far for the most part in his career. This season is the highest because he threw for 28 times against Ball State, which, I mean, it's Ball State. Kind of reminds me of the Arkansas State game. And then last season, he threw 36 times against South Carolina and 32 against Houston. So, yeah, the goal was, okay, if you're going to beat us, you're going to be throwing it. And that's the only way we're going to allow it. And it worked. I mean, like I said, for Jackson Arnold, he's just going to have to get rid of the ball faster. He's going to have to make the decision to throw it and just throw it to guys and let it go. And it felt like, to me, as the game progressed, the Peyton Bowen almost pick 6 was, to me, the play where they pulled back on allowing him to really throw the ball. It was if you don't see it wide open, don't throw it. And you start to see the ball being held more throughout the game. And at certain points, their line's going to get good max protect and allow him to chunk the ball deep to Cam Coleman. F it, Cam's down there somewhere. And that's what it felt like he was starting to do after a while, which was a smart strategy, by the way, not knocking it whatsoever, because Hugh Freeze was very smart to go pick on the true freshman. That's what you're supposed to do. You go after the youngest dudes with the least amount of experience, especially when you got a god of a wide receiver like you do in Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
But after a while, it got harder and harder for him to get the ball there and one of the guys over at the Auburn guys I did a pod with basically said it. It's like, he said this about our offensive line. It's like, as the game progresses, our run game gets better. The blocking gets better. It's like we are conditioned to make the long haul. Our defensive line feels like it's the same too, John.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's conditioned to where as the game progresses, they get better and better, and it gets worse and worse for the competition.
Yeah, they get better in crunch time too. Like when the game is on the line, the defensive line really takes their game to another level. Like they have Kobe moments, and I think that's kind of what they did as a group. I mean, R. Mason Thomas flashed, obviously got the highlight plays. Gracen Halton did as well, but as a unit, I mean, they just had that Mamba mentality. It wasn't just gonna beat you, wasn't just gonna stop you. It was, I'm gonna punish you while I stop you. And it was just such an impressive effort. And you mentioned Cortland Guillory, and I know that there's a lot of discussion out there about Cortland. Let's be mindful that the kid is making just his 4th start at the collegiate level and went up against a guy who's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick
easily
in the 2027 NFL draft.
The good thing about him too is that you felt like with Cortland, he's like, Coach, let me get him. Let me keep trying. And they probably were like, all right, you get this opportunity. I need you to lock it in. I got it. I'm gonna keep working on it. And
Yep.
like you said, there's not much you can do when you're dealing with a dude as good as Cam Coleman.
Yeah, and sometimes you just tip your hat to the other guy and say, "Hey, great game. You got me."
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. But he's going to get better and he's going to develop from this game. And you're not going to see many wide receivers as good as him over the rest of your schedule.
Nope.
So let's talk offense. Let's talk run game for the Oklahoma Sooners. They were able to get a win without much of a run game. Coming up here on Locked On Sooners.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer right now. New customers can bet just $5, and your bet wins. You'll get $300 in bonus bets. Like for me, in that game, Oklahoma ends up covering the spread right there at that safety. It's always fun because we knew that spread was going to get covered. And whenever you're able to jump into it with someone like FanDuel, it makes every game more exciting where you're watching your favorite team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. You can eyeball all of that and see it all in FanDuel to get an understanding of what's going on and be excited or be a little sad because, that number didn't hit. But if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app today now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Jay, the Auburn run defense was as advertised. That group was awesome against Oklahoma's run game on Saturday.
Yeah, the Auburn's defense is really legitimate, and they do a really good job of the front seven is where they're strong, and it showed. And I got to give it to them. They had a really smart strategy of not letting John Mateer do to them what Sawyer Robertson did to them in week 1. They're not going to allow the deep passes, and they're going to find ways to get enough pressure to force Mateer to get rid of the ball probably a little bit quicker than he wants. Our run game could not get established, and that's the fourth game now that we really could. I guess you could say the fourth game. I don't know how I feel about the Temple game. I don't even know if that really counts. But Torrey Blaylock did get 100 yards in that game. But this one, the struggle was real. Like, you could see that there was a struggle in getting it going. The run blocking was pretty much subpar. The one thing, though, that's very beneficial to Oklahoma is we are on a bye week. Yes. And we really needed this right now. And in theory, we've got 2 weeks of prep to prepare for Texas down at Red River because, yeah, we could use the sleep. We could use the treatments, the rehab, because, yeah, we got to get this offensive line back to tip-top shape as much as possible and prep for, because Fasusi went out there for a bit. I think he had like 9 snaps. His reps weren't awful, but you could tell that he was laboring a little bit, especially playing those ends like Falk or whatnot. You could tell that it was time to pull him.
Yeah, the radio broadcast said he was limping onto the field, literally, like jogging with a limp. So I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we? I mean, I know you want to see him play and you want to get him out there, but
I know he wants to play, but yeah save him from himself.
Yeah, and then Jake Michla and Fabechi Wiwu, they were dealing with ankle injuries as well. So yeah, it's an offensive line that's just not healthy. But again, a lot of it was the Auburn defensive front. Like I don't listen. I know we have struggled in the run game. That is accurate. That's not enlightening through 4 games of the season. But a lot of the Oklahoma struggles on Saturday were due to Auburn just also being really good against the run. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you hold Torrey Blaylock to just 11 carries for 17 yards is I think what it was. And then, John Mateer, he couldn't really get going either. 10 carries for 29 yards. His longest run of the day was 9 yards, and that was the touchdown. He averaged 2.9 yards per carry. Like, it was not a great day in the run game, but you found a way to win despite it. And I think that's the impressive thing here is it's the thing we've talked about all offseason, Jay, is with what Oklahoma's defense is going to be, your offense does not have to be 2017, 2018, 2019 Oklahoma Sooners to go be successful. You have to be good enough. And on Saturday, the offense found ways, especially in the second half when John Mateer got a lot more efficient. Ben Arbuckle made some really nice adjustments, running some more mesh concepts, some drag routes to take advantage of Auburn dropping a lot of guys into coverage. They hit those underneath things. Those guys caught and run, Satania, Burks, Kanik, and they were able to find some things So like, as much as it's concerning that the run game still hasn't really found its effectiveness, you were able to go win a game without a run game.
Exactly. And that was what that Auburn wanted to do. Their whole goal was to make sure that they didn't give up a ton of, because for the most part they hadn't given up much on the run game. 64 from Baylor, but they let them pass for 419 yards. -3 is Ball State, of course, which is good, but 104 against South Alabama the week before. So right before South Alabama runs for 140 yards, but they barely threw for 170. But we was able to throw the ball for 271 in this game. And John Mateer had his magic moment, his Sooner magic moment on that final drive. Like, he went out there and he focused, and like every play was like perfect passes and spots, and it was like him and Arbuckle had it felt kind of like the 2-minute drill against Texas in 23. It was like, yeah, we planned for this, we prepared for this, this is how we're gonna do it. It only took them just over 2 minutes to get down the field, and luckily, they that 31-yard bomb to Satania was so ballsy, but it was so perfect. It's like right drop in the bucket catch. It was just, that's exactly what you want. But he went out there and balled, and he said, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to get this touchdown myself. And I love, it was one of the film breakdown guys, he pointed this out. I thought it was pretty fascinating. On that 9-yard scamper, you could tell on there was only 2 dudes on the right, and there's like 4 on the box on the left. And you could see Mateer notice that immediately, and he played. So what he did when he hiked it, he immediately looked at them and then cut right to the hole that he knew was going to be open, that his teammates was going to make available for him. And that was it. He knew what side of the ball to go to. To me, it'd have been better for them to go to the right and make him try to run the opposite direction, because their edges were still doing a good job of setting it. They probably could have got a better chance. But overall, though, it's funny. Even as bad as our run blocking was and the way we played, pass blocking was fantastic.
It was great. He had a lot of time. The only time that I felt like he got in trouble was when they sent those delayed blitzes. They had a guy that was spying, and the broadcast brought this up, the spy blitz. And that was, I feel like, the only thing that really caught him off guard. Auburn's coverage down the field led to a lot of these, but the pass protection was really good. And even when he was pressured or sacked, sometimes it was on him, because he was, as the broadcast rightfully brought up, he was drifting back too far and leaving Simmons and Logan Howland in these really awkward positions to try to block from. Whereas if he steps up, he's got a little bit more time, and he's got maybe a little bit more potential to make a pass. But the running lanes were kind of clogged up for him. Auburn did a really good job defending his scrambling ability. They did not let him beat them with his legs, which similar game plan as Oklahoma's. But again, the guy managed the game well. He, I think, went into this and played this game with an understanding that Oklahoma's defense was going to stop the Auburn offense and not give them, it's not going to be a shootout. John Mateer understood, I don't have to go put up 40 points to go win this game. But when it came down to it, John Mateer went and put up a great drive with that offense to go take the lead and win the game. So it was, to me, it was just a well-executed offensive game plan. Would you like to run the ball better? Absolutely. You'd like to run the ball better, but they also didn't take a ton of risks in this one. They weren't putting the ball in harm's way. They weren't chucking it down the field. They had a few, downfield pass plays. You want to take some shots, but it was hey, we're a defensive football team kind of a game. And when we need to go make a play, we're going to go make a play. And they did. Yeah.
And they knew how dangerous that Auburn is. They've got talent. They got a lot of good players. They brought some good transfers. And so they knew that they wanted to make sure that whoever they picked at, like Satania, it appears that Satania was the guy that they said, we're going to use you the most, and really pick at those players, whoever was defending. Don't think it was Pleasant that was holding them, but I know Jay Crawford was out with injury, the other corner. So they're out there, they were picking at him, and rightfully so. And overall, man, to me, the game plan evolved much better as the game progressed. There were moments in there. We had there was like 10 total 3-and-outs in there on both combined on both sides. So there was a lot of getting in, run a couple plays, and getting back out. And that's just a compliment to the defense. So as long as Auburn continues to grow and get better, they should be good for the rest of the season. They should be solid. This A&M game is coming up this weekend. Is going to be a test, but they should be good. For Oklahoma, just figuring out ways to get the run a lot more involved, get more yards, I think we'll be fine.
One more little note here on John Mateer before we get to where Oklahoma stands in the polls. So in the first half of this game, John Mateer was just 8 of 16 throwing the football. In the second half, he was, where did I have it? 16 of 20.
Yep.
12 of 16 in the third quarter. He was 4 of 4 in the fourth quarter for 62 yards. Again,
it's crazy that he only threw 4 passes in the fourth quarter.
Auburn did have a strong time of possession advantage in this game, so that's part of it, but he made it count when it mattered most. Again, it's like the defensive line coming up clutch in crunch time. John Mateer came up clutch in crunch time. That's exactly what you need to see out of your quarterback when it was on the line and he needed to go make some plays. John Mateer absolutely made some plays. The Oklahoma Sooners moved up in both polls. We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving you your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And speaking of a spot that served their community for decades, you got to go check out Abbey Road Catering in Norman. If you haven't, if you have a big business or a small business and you're looking for catering for an event, if you're looking for catering for a wedding, any kind of reception, you got to check out Abbey Road Catering. My wife and I, we used them back for our wedding back in 2010, and it was fantastic. Throwing up a little spread here, a photo of the spread here on the YouTube side, just an immaculate spread that they provided for our wedding, and our guests were 100% satisfied. The food was so great, it tasted so fresh, and Chris Abbey of Abbey Road Catering was so easy to work with. So you got to go check out Abbey Road Catering in Norman for your catering events. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners moved up in both the USLBM Coaches Poll and the AP Top 25. In the AP, they're up to number 7 and number 10 in the Coaches Poll, Jay.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good number here. If you look at it, Oklahoma jumping up here in the poll where we really needed to jump. The good thing is the focus. The main thing is the main thing. Just keep winning, baby. That's the only thing we care about, right? Like, John, like the focal point for us here is we just need to keep on, keep pushing, and keep winning. So I looked at the polls. Let me find them, and I'll post them in here for us to kind of talk about for the rest of the conference, because there was some to me there was some quote unquote disrespect that came down the line, in my opinion. Like I'm trying to understand how, like, for example, Auburn getting dropped out. You know, they lost a close game on the road, and then you see that Illinois is here at number 23 after getting blown out by 53 points on the road. To a conference foe, that is. Right? Illinois was rated pretty high. They were expected to be really good, and they didn't get the treatment they probably should have. I think Auburn should have probably gotten a little bit more love in this one. Same thing in the coaches poll. You didn't get that love for Auburn at all. Illinois still gets the little bit, I guess, the benefit of the doubt for some reason. But the good thing for them is I don't even think they play anybody really tough on their schedule anymore. I think this is it. It was
Auburn?
Indiana.
Illinois.
Illinois. I think this is it. So for them, it's like a borderline guarantee. They have like 11-1 almost.
Yeah.
And then they got USC coming to the crib next week. My apologies. They got USC and they play
They're not
Ohio
tough.
State. That's about it.
USC's not tough.
Yeah, fair point.
We know Lincoln Riley teams can't be tough. No, it's interesting. You know, you see TCU jump into the polls after beating SMU, like an unranked average SMU team that is not very good this year. So they get the benefit and they get to jump in, whereas Auburn drops out. I mean, this is not locked on Auburn, but we'll do our guy Zach Blacker be a solid and defend Auburn there. That doesn't make any sense at all.
At all.
Yeah, Oklahoma moving up to 7 in the AP, up to 10 in the coaches poll. One coach had Oklahoma unranked, and I really hope it was Hugh Freeze, who has a vote in the coaches poll, because I love that level of pettiness.
I can appreciate levels of petty.
I don't know.
I'm not
I
the
don't know if
pettiest
it was
person,
him,
but
I don't
an
have his ballot in
appreciation
front
for
of
it.
me. I can't tell you that he had Oklahoma unranked, but I really hope it was, because that's just the best.
Yeah, like I said, I can appreciate that level of petty, but
Yeah.
I don't do the petty, but I definitely can appreciate it when
Yeah.
it's good. That would be a quality petty move by him.
What
if
is
he
college
decides to do
football
that.
without the pettiness, man? Like,
Fair point. Fair point.
also, that picture, that video of Jaren Kanak, every time it pops up of him, Bobby Bouchang, the Auburn defender, I lose it every single time. It's the best.
It's so hilarious. And you saw his quote behind it, right? It's just so hilarious. They asked him about it. You see what he said?
No.
Oh, I got to send you the video, but for the uninitiated out there, we were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, white men still can't jump," and everybody just busted out laughing, like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Mm.
But I'm just in tears, like, what was he thinking when he did that, John? Like,
Yeah,
what was? I know that he was thinking that the defender was going to go for his legs, because Kanak has got some pretty thick legs, so he's kind of tough to try and tackle. So I totally understood that's probably what he was anticipating. But man, come on now, that's hilarious.
Yeah. That was so crazy. Anything else that really stood out to you from this week in the polls?
Yeah, I went to go look. I usually do this every week, but I didn't get to do it yesterday. I was actually making some of the graphics and stuff. But you had, what's that, 4, 5, 6? You got 7 rankings. 7 people had Oklahoma in the top 5, and 1 person had Oklahoma as the number 1 team in the country.
Okay, well,
That's
I'm not ready to go that far.
I think it's a little much.
Yeah, I'm not going to
But
go
I thought
that
that
far.
was interesting.
I think listen, I think anywhere from the, I don't know, 7 to 15 range, I think is reasonable. You know, I think you beat an Auburn team that may or may not be good. I think we're still going to find out. Now, these next few weeks for Auburn, if they lose all 4 games, I don't think it's necessarily indicative of them being a bad team. Their schedule is pretty rough the next few weeks. I just don't know exactly how good they are, but we do know Oklahoma's pretty good. Are they going to be a top 5 team? Maybe, but they still have to prove some things on the field. They got to play Texas in a few weeks, and I think that's going to be a big time test, and it's going to be one that the national conversation takes hold of and notes. We'll see what it looks like, you know, as the season rolls along, but it's evident that they're a good team. Will they be an SEC title contending team? Will they be a college football playoff team?
Debatable.
We'll see. I mean, they just got to keep winning games, man. And I think that's really what it comes down to. And I think Sooner Nation is feeling that same way. It's like, go win games and the rest of it will take care of itself. You don't really have to worry about where you're at in the polls if you win games.
Just win, baby. That's what you got to do.
Just win. And
just keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
Job's not done.
I saw somebody post on social media, man, it feels a lot better actually winning games 24-17 than 50-46 or whatever. I'm like, in a way, yeah. I don't know how coaches do it, man. Like, I was feeling like the palpitations, my chest was getting tight. I was like, man, do I need to go take a couple baby aspirin or something? Like, what's going on here?
I don't have a problem with lower scoring, grinded out games. Like, I don't get as stressed in those. And in the shocking manner, since Brent Venables been here, I haven't felt the stress. We haven't been on the winning side of a lot of them, on enough of them since he's been here. But we've had enough games to where an Alabama last year, the Auburn game last year, where you find ways to win at the end, and it's like, yeah, that's good. That's what you want. That's what you're looking for. Well,
and he's developed a defense that's able to go make stops, you know, in clutch situations. You know, you go back to the 2022 season, and you know, we're seeing that defense back then try to stop, you know, Kansas State on a 3rd and 16, you know, and you're like, dang, you can't stop Adrian Martinez from running on 3rd and 16. Crap.
Right.
That's where it started. That's where this all started, was that season when that defense allowed 30 points per game on the year. And you're just like, oh gosh, like we did not bring Brent Venables for this. Well, through 4 games in 2025 with Michigan and Auburn on the schedule, Oklahoma's allowing just 9 points a game. And you're going to play some better offenses as you go, but you're probably looking at a defense that's going to hold teams under 20 points per game this season. And if that's the case, you're going to have a chance to win a lot of football games.
Let me ask you this though, John. How many sacks do you think we've given up this season?
I'm going to say 2.
Given up 5 total. Material's been sacked 4 times, 1
Okay.
per game. And I think Michael Hawkins got sacked once. That's pretty good, because that was not last year's story.
Nope, not at all. The offensive line is playing better. And listen, some of those are actually like, and similar to the way that they credited the sacks against Jackson Arnold, some of those are, hey, I'm tucking and running, or it's a designed run. But yeah, I mean, John Mateer's not getting sacked as much because he's getting the ball out quicker, or he's more elusive, whatever it is. But yeah, it's nice to see your offense not take a ton of losses. Got to figure out the turnovers, but you're not taking a ton of losses. Even though the run game's not great, still not taking a ton of losses.
Nope. That's what you want.
A lot to improve on, but Oklahoma's 4-0 coming out of week 4 with a bye week ahead of them. We'll continue to break down Oklahoma versus Auburn. We'll talk some SEC football this week. Who's a better team than what we expected? Who's maybe not as good as what we were expecting in the preseason? I think 4 weeks into the year, we're starting to get a good handle on who some of these teams are. We can kind of revisit some of our SEC preseason thoughts. We'll do that this week and talk through Oklahoma injuries and all kinds of things here on Locked On Sooners. So make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Threads. We're there. We're everywhere. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Talk to you next time. Boomer.
Sooner.
It's nice to have a bye week.
Oh, we need it.